Hi everybody, Rick McEvoy here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Rick McEvoy Photography. I'm Rick. Hopefully the audio's better now with my new microphone. This week on my photography blog, I decided it was about time I wrote a new post about this thing here. The post is titled Architectural Photography with the Excellent Olympus EM1 Mk2. Now this is the camera. It's a micro four thirds camera. Micro four thirds means it has a smaller sensor. The camera is smaller. Although I have to say, we're getting bigger again now with the flagship OM1. It's getting SLR size, certainly SLR weight with the lens on it, which I will come on to. Do I like this camera? I like this camera a lot. I want one. This is not my camera. Here we go. This has been loaned. I was going to say lent, not incorrect. It's been loaned to me by Olympus on their Pro Loan scheme. I have an OM10 Mark II. EM10, sorry. I have an EM5 Mark II. The EM5 Mark II is now the camera that I use for travel photography, trips abroad. I've stopped taking the Canon 6D and all that stuff. Now I just take the EM5 with two lenses. That is my gear, small tripod, small everything, much better. So I borrowed this and I thought best thing I can do with it is take it on a real commercial shoot for a client. Probably not the best thing to do was to not read the instructions. I put a memory card in, charged the battery and went on the shoot. Now I know a lot of the things are the same on the EM5 Mark II, so how did I get on? Absolutely fine. What was I photographing? The new changing rooms at the University of Southampton, building B18. Now I'm not sure what building B18 is, but it's got a pool in it. I don't know if it's public access or not. That's the problem when you turn up to photograph something, you see that thing and that thing alone. I wasn't involved in the project up to the point of handover. Talking of which, this is one of the architectural photography issues that certainly I face, and anybody doing what I do will face, is timing. Timing is a real issue. Now on an internal shoot like this, not a problem with the weather obviously, it's just that I had to be there at 2 o'clock on the Friday afternoon and the handover ceremony was at 4 o'clock, so I had 2 hours to get all the photos I needed. After that, the changing rooms were in use, there'd never be access again. You could do it in, when the pool's closed and everything, but that becomes a problem because you've got cleaners and other things. So Friday afternoon, 2 till 4, that is it. So I took the EM1 and the lens, which I would now like to talk about. Just look at this bad boy. That's quite a thing. I must stop looking at it like that. People think I'm strange. It's a 7 to 14 millimeter lens. Now, micro four thirds cameras have smaller sensors. They have a crop factor. What does this mean in English? Well, if you get a full frame camera, any brand, 7 millimeters on a micro four thirds camera is the same as 14 millimeters on a full frame camera. My Canon 6D, I use a 17 to 40 millimeter lens, so this is in effect, well, this is the equivalent of a 14 millimeter lens. It's 3 mil wider. 3 mil at 400 mil means virtually nothing. 3 mil going from 17 to 14 means absolutely everything. It's a massive difference, bit of a game changer. Lens is super sharp, loved using it. Taking the photos was pretty much like using the EM5, so not a problem. So the shoot went well, no problems, enjoyed using the camera. I loved this thing here. I was going to go through the blog post and just point out the highlights, but I'm just going to talk and we'll see if it all meets up at the end. If I take the lens cap off, it'll actually see something. That's a worry, isn't it? There you go. Tilting screen. Why is this so good? I can point my camera. I can take photos that I can't take without it, basically. One shot, I had the camera flat against the wall rotated the screen so I could see what I was doing. Brilliant. I should be using this in my video blogs really, but so that's it. It's a marvellous piece of kit. The lens is stunning. I used it. It was interesting really because I used a 17 to 40mm lens. 17 is super wide. 14's super wider. I know, sorry. But when I've been using the 17 to 40mm lens, I've found that I take probably 95% of my photos at 17mm. So what did I do with the 7 to 14? Probably took 95% of the photos at 7mm. I've just gone wider and loved it. I have to have this lens. The camera's great, don't get me wrong, but the Mark V is pretty stellar. I love the Mark V. A little bit smaller too. This has got lots and lots of feet. No, actually, there's got a button on the top which is brilliant, which I love. So, yeah, I need one of these in my life, really. So, Olympus, don't ask for the camera back, and we're all good. I will write lots of wonderful things about your wonderful camera. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Yes, no, it all went fine. 40mm was great. 7mm was great even, sorry. I actually took one photo, not at 7mm, and that was where there was a bit of, there was a load of stuff in the edge of the frame, so I just zoomed in very slightly to exclude it. I could have done it with cropping, but get it right in camera if you can. That's what they always say. So in the blog post, I have included the 10 photos issued to the client. These are the exact same images issued to the client. The client doesn't know if I've used a Micro Four Thirds camera or if I've used a full frame camera. Client doesn't care, to be honest. They don't care. Do you know who cares about what camera you've used and what settings you've used? Other photographers. Am I working for other photographers? No. I'm trying to attract them, of course I am, to my photography blog, but no, I'm not working for them. Clients don't care. Clients care about one thing only. Once you've agreed a price, that is. Have you got the photos and can I have them on time? Nothing else matters. That's the reality. So the 10 photos are in the post. Pinterest thing keeps on coming up. Olympus sent me this. Now I ticked a list of things that I'd like to try, and they sent me them. So I've got this camera, this lens. I've also got the 12 to 100 lens, which I'm going to use for travel photography next week, which I'm very excited about. The 40 to 150 lens, that's 80 to 300mm. It's quite big. When you're talking about lenses like this, you can forget Micro Four Thirds being really small and fit in your pocket. They don't. And a 25mm lens, which is interesting, because 50, that's the equivalent to 50mm obviously in full frame torque, but it's an f1 point something or other. Not really that bothered. Let's get back to the subject, shall we? So yeah, there's the one that I zoomed in very slightly to get rid of the stuff in that room there. The photos are great. Nice colours, all verticals correct. In the blog post, I won't talk about it now, I explain what Micro Four Thirds cameras are and what the implications are of having one, why you might want to have one, etc. I do mention the Canon 6D. I still have it. It's old technology. Nobody wants to buy one anymore. I wouldn't agree with that. If you bought a Canon 6D with a 17 to 40mm lens, you're good to go shooting buildings and you'll get some great photos. My camera's old, but it was great when I bought it. It's still great now. This is just something else. I did write a post. Here you go. There's the changing rooms and the corridor. This is the showers as you enter and exit the pool. So back to the point, which is using a Micro Four Thirds Olympus camera in architectural photography. How did I get on? Pretty good. That's what I wrote. I really enjoyed using the camera. It felt nice with the 17-40mm. I'm trying to read that and I can't even read and speak, can I? I'll just carry on. It's a nice smaller setup, and I used my three-legged thing Corey tripod, which I use for travel photography. So I was in it was a smaller, lighter setup than the full frame, not significantly, but noticeably to me, and I enjoyed it. Taking photos was a dream. I used the high-res mode on the EM1. High res, it takes about, I think it's 8 photos. It uses pixel shift and it takes 8 photos, shoves them together and gives you a raw file. It can give you a raw file if you tell it in the settings for the high res bit to give you a raw file. I forgot. Now I did know this. I had set the camera to RAW plus JPEG, but I forgot. So it was the first commercial shoot I've done for a client with the format being JPEG. It was the first commercial shoot for a client where I have not shot in RAW. Did it matter? Here's the surprising thing. No, did not matter. I didn't have all the white balance presets in Lightroom. I just picked a white balance, copied and pasted it. That was fine. It didn't. This is the thing. It's an interior shoot, so I've got less issues of lights and darks. It's a more consistent light levels. It didn't make any difference whatsoever as the bottom line. I edited the photos, I cleaned them up in Photoshop, I exported them, and nobody knows that I made a fundamental error in my image capture. No one knows or cares. That's one to think about for the future, really. It's the corridor. Obviously, you've got these very prominent and bright lockers. What did I like? The 7-14 lens, the articulating touchscreen, the electronic viewfinder. That's one that I'd forgotten. Put your eye to the viewfinder, and it shows you the scene. Take your eye away, and the screen kicks in. It's all automatic. You take a photo. This still freaks me. And you can look at the photo on the viewfinder because it's electronic, of course. You're not looking through a prism and the lens. I still can't get my head around that. So you take a photo and it's in the viewfinder. Sometimes I forget and I'm looking down thinking, well, I've moved my camera. Why am I still looking at what I was looking at before? Not my fault. I'm a bit stupid sometimes. The top button, not AF on. It's this one here, the HDR one. You can press that, scroll the wheel and instantly go to HDR if you need to or not, and it switches on and off. That was really handy for the work that I do. And the feel of the camera, it's not light, but it feels good. What went wrong? There you go, it's in writing for the world to see. Yep, JPEG. All good. Photoshop, there was a lot of cleaning up to do. That's because it was being cleaned while I was taking the photos. So whichever camera I'd used, I would have had that same thing to deal with. Lots of marks on the panels, dust, bits of stuff here and there. So long time. It takes a long time to clean up photos on this kind of shoot, which sometimes people forget. If it's a house you're photographing for a country house you're photographing for sale. For the owner, you don't get any of these issues. It's just modern, shiny surfaces can be a bit of a nightmare. Links to all the stuff. And that's it. What's on my photography blog next week? Now, I do say here that there's only one thing left to do this year, and that is to look at some of the photos from 2019. I might change my mind because I've got something else which I've nearly finished writing which I might publish, so I might just move things around a bit, but that is enough for now. Sorry, 14 minutes went on a bit, but this camera is worth it. This lens is just awesome. Oh, it's got a sticker on it, I didn't notice that. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rick McEvoy Photography. Please subscribe to my photography blog, rickmcavoyphotography.com/blog. Check me out on Pinterest if you want. Drop me an email. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Time to turn off.